and the name Stone kept coming up. And so their people contacted our people,
Oh wow.
and we started the conversation. And then when Lars and I met in Copenhagen beginning of last summer, it really the pieces connected.
And what was your reaction when you knew that Metallica wanted to create a beer with you?
Honestly, so I am a huge Metallica fan. I think so many of us are, so that's very understandable. But I was a little bit skeptical.
Really?
Yeah, well, okay, great. I love Metallica, but why do they want to make a beer? And you know, did they really want to be involved, or they just want somebody to do something to put their name on? I wasn't interested in the second one. I wasn't interested in just doing something where they would put their name on it and not really care. Of course, I should have known, because Metallica is a very involved, very passionate group. And they were genuinely interested and genuinely wanting to understand craft beer and what Stone was about, and to make a collaborative process.
Oh, well, that was our second question, that if Metallica was taking part into the creation, but you answered it very good.
Yeah, it's been really wonderful, because they know they're experts at what they do, of course, and we're experts at what we do, and so Internight Pilsner is a true meeting of those two elements coming together.
So,
did you get this chair that I'm sitting in? I love this chair.
Que si quieres que se ponga en esa silla o...
No, está bien.
Oh yeah, this is a great chair.
¿Quieres sentarte algo? Te dejo.
No, está bien. Muchísimas gracias. Está bien.
I didn't get an average chair. This is not an average chair. This is a better than average chair.
Mejor que una silla normal. So Metallica, the group and the components, are they great fans of craft beer, right?
Well, so two of them right now don't drink. James and Kirk are not drinking these days, and Rob and Lars enjoy beers. And yes, we've had many tasting sessions together, and I can tell you from personal experience, those guys are super cool and they have a lot of fun. And you can see some in the video we made together. We call it The Story of Internight, and you can watch it on YouTube.
Okay, well, we'll take a look at it after it later.
Yeah, I always love showing that, because it's me hanging out at Lars's house. Yeah, exactly. Who doesn't want to share that?
It's such an honor for you, right?
Yeah, it is an honor for me. That is true.
Okay, so and another question is, why did they decide to be a Pilsner and not a more heavier beer? Or style, sorry, such an APA or stout or something like this?
I think that's a great question, and we had those discussions. We had the discussions, what do we want this to be? And not just what do we want the beer to be, but sort of what occasions. And of course, tailgating kept coming up as an idea. Do you know tailgating?
Not much. Can you explain me?
Yeah, sure. You go, you meet at the concert in the parking lot with the friends, and you hang at the cars. At the tailgate, the back end of the car.
Oh, right.
And you have maybe you cook some burgers or some hot dogs, and you have beers with your friends, and then you go to the show or go to the game or go to the So it's tailgating. It's like backyard barbecue, but before an event.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So you were looking for a easy beer.
Not easy.
No?
Because of course this isn't just a simple beer. This is a beer that has a lot of character and a lot of flavor, a lot of bitterness.
It's hoppy. It's a little hoppy
Yeah.
than a normal Pilsner.
Much more. So we call this Pilsner played through a distortion pedal.
Okay, well, that's a good
De
one.
todas formas, tienes tú por ahí una cerveza que ahí te anda copos.
Oh, there's my beer. Well, after that
Allow me. There we go.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, read the next one.
What's the next one?
We're going in the fourth.
Okay,
Cheers.
cheers. After the sale of the factory in Berlin, what are your brewing plans in Europe or for Europe?
So
It's very good. I like it.
you have excellent taste. So, even though we transferred ownership of the brewery in Berlin to BrewDog, our beers will continue to be brewed there. This beer was brewed there.
Oh.
The brewery knows how to brew our beer. The people know how to brew our beer. So we will continue. So we expect to continue to expand in Europe and sell more beer this year than last year and more beer next year than this
And
year.
so on.
So, will you continue to make craft beer in Europe? So,
Yes.
okay. ¿Quieres continuar tú?
Sure. What are your thoughts about the European craft beer market in opposition to the American one?
Well, it's interesting. So in mainland Europe, Berlin is the largest capital city of all of mainland Europe. If we include the UK, then London is larger than Berlin. Okay. So Richmond, Virginia, on the east coast of the U.S., we have a brewery there. Richmond, Virginia is not number 1, not number 2, not number 25, not number 50. Richmond, Virginia is the 74th largest city in the United States. 350,000 people. 2 times, more than 2 times the number of breweries in Richmond than in Berlin.
Wow.
So I think that answers your question. So San Diego, with 1 million less people than Berlin, in the whole San Diego region, 1 million less people, we have 10 times more breweries than in Berlin.
Wow. So there is a lot of competence. I don't know how to say
Yeah,
it.
competition.
Competition.
That's right,
Competition, but there's also a lot of understanding. So today in Berlin, there are maybe 20 bars, restaurants with beer selection like you have here at this place, El Boliche.
El boliche.
El Boliche. Okay. Here, El Boliche. So in Berlin, there are maybe 20 bars or restaurants with this amount of beer. In San Diego, there are more than 1,000 bars and
That's
restaurants
crazy.
with this amount of beer. So in San Diego, this is common. This is part of the culture. But 23 years ago, when Stone started, there were maybe 15.
So it has increased very.
Yeah. So the European beer culture, of course, is wonderful. There's so many great old breweries that have been doing it for a very long time in Germany and or Belgium, UK, and of course every country has great breweries. But unfortunately, most of the people ignore that for the industrial, cheap industrial beer. And this is still the case in the United States.
Oh.
Still 80% of the beer, more than 80% of the beer in the United States is cheap industrial beer. But we still have a big craft brewing, big artisanal brewing,
It's true.
artigianale, right?
Okay. The 7. What do you think about the Spanish craft beer market?
I think it's exciting.
Excited?
Yeah, I think there's. So I first visited the Spanish craft beer market in 2014. I went to Barcelona. I came my first time to Madrid 1 year ago, and I every time I come I see changes, and we just did a collaboration project in Berlin with Garage. And those guys are super cool, and there's super cool people doing super cool things, making super cool beers. Yeah, exactly.
It's obvious.
Yeah, and that's great, and so that's worth being excited about.
Okay, great. In Spain, we haven't got all of your portfolio. Why is it? Why is this thing that we haven't got all of your beers?
Right. So because the awareness of Stone is still in the early growth of, so most people don't know Stone. People at a place like this, they know Stone, some, right? I mean, 2 weeks ago, what percentage of these people knew Stone?
Well, I have to say
Yes.
that in super well,
A
big,
few people, not.
but in big supermarkets like
Yes,
El Corte
In the
Inglés,
Corte
we've
Inglés,
got Stone beer, for example.
Yes.
So, but the answer is that if you put too much beer into a market too soon, then it sits there, it gets old, people don't understand it. So you have to take things step by step by step by
Baby
step.
steps.
And just like even when you have, a band releases a new album, they come out with one single at each
Yes.
time. Because if you do too much all at once, it's too much for people to learn about it, to absorb, and to appreciate. So I would love to have everything.
So
I would love that, but it's not realistic.
is it a hint that in Spain we're going to have more things of Stone?
If Spain also buys more stone. So we have to, these pieces work together. If our sales can grow, then as the sales grow, it's like a pyramid. And you have to start, and it moves through, and at the top is a few choices, more choices, more choices, more choices. And so we have to move this pyramid arrow, but you understand, through, we have to grow it. And then we can have more choices.
Okay, great. And
sí, el siguiente.
and what are you working in right now when it comes to the future?
Well,
Have you got any exciting plans for the near future?
This year, 2019, is our year for sort of focusing on all the things that we have now and no new plans, because we had to make the change in Berlin that we were disappointed about, and so we are sort of, we call it retrenching and refocusing.
Okay. And what are the challenges Stone Brewing has to face in a constant developing market?
So the challenges are the same around the world, which is most people don't really understand what beer, what true beer is, what it's capable of being, how big the flavor, how wonderful it is. So you had your first moment. When did you have your first moment? When you're like, I get it. Or you start to begin to get it.
It's like a process.
Yeah, of course, it's a process for everybody. So when was yours?
When I started meeting with him, that I only drank beer with lemon,
Okay.
and after meeting, it was like, craft beer, it's bright, I like it.
And now she loves barley wines.
Yeah, exactly. And so what year was this? How many? Was it 1 year ago or 3 years ago?
No, 1 year ago.
1 year ago. Rock on. Welcome.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
serious. This is wonderful. So my first hint was 1987, but it took
87.
87.
Wow.
Because I'm old.
Older.
And at that time we didn't have social media. The internet was not. I mean, it existed, but not really.
Yeah.
Not really. So there was, today the ability to spread information is increased. Also, unfortunately, the ability to spread misinformation, which is sad, but that's a different story. But we can communicate in a way, and so someone like you can be introduced to craft beer, and the next step, 1 year later, you're enjoying barley wines. This is phenomenal. This is wonderful. So with everybody, and everything is a step by step by step.
Ya estamos terminando.
Okay.
2 minutos.
Perfect.
So, do you have any more questions?
No, I-
Okay. So we have a present for you, okay?
Okay.
That's la revista en la que yo colaboro de...
It's a magazine that he takes part in,
Okay.
and he writes about beers.
I am journalist and blogger,
Okay.
and that's my merchandising for you. Ayúdame, porfa, que no se abre la caja.
Wait a minute.
Ay, me estoy equivocando, ¿se abre así?